Hi, I'm Karen McCarthy, and it's time to Karen-ize. Today's Wednesday when we talk about spiritual health, and today we're going to continue our study on the Trinity. We're talking about God and the aspects of his character, and today we're going to talk about protector. Now, before I get into that, I want to tell you a little story that will kind of tie in. And that is about my little dog, Judemy. I recently lost him. He was almost 16 years old. But when he was a puppy, he looked like a fluffy little teddy bear. He was so adorable. I named him Judemy. That means little bear in Papago Indian, and it fit him perfectly. And he was adorable. But he had one naughty character trait, and that was he was obsessed with food. He'd never suffered a day without food in his life that I knew of when I got him, and straight from his mom, so I doubt it. But he was obsessed. If you walked away from the table and you had food on the table, he would be up there getting into it. Walked away from my TV chair and I had a snack on my side table, he would be getting it. In the garbage, looking for napkins, wrappers, whatever might have food on it. And oh, the woman who came to visit left her purse on the floor and walked out of the room. If she had gum or candy in her purse, he found it. Oh, he was horrible that way. But anyway, I did everything I could to try to get him to break that habit. And he was pretty good in other ways, but he just had to have it. But once my son came, he was in the Navy and he came home on deployment. My other dog just came in. And his larger form, he's way over 6 feet tall, and his deeper voice had Jude running for the shelter of my legs anytime he had a garbage raid. His instinctive run for the shelter of my shadow reminds me of my favorite Bible passage and the next role of God the Father in our lives. And I'm going to read this because even though I have things memorized, once I get on camera, they're totally out of my mind. So Psalm 91:1 tells us, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." I love that picture of resting in his protective shadow because I know that nothing is going to touch me there unless he allows it. And he only allows it because there's a greater purpose. It's going to be beneficial to me or to someone else. There's always a purpose. In the same chapter, we're told, if you make the Most High your dwelling place, even the Lord who is my refuge, then no harm will befall you. No disaster will come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. You will tread upon the lion and the cobra, meaning Satan, and you will trample the great lion and the serpent. Now, as you probably figured out from our life experiences, no harm doesn't necessarily mean nothing bad's going to happen, nothing undesirable is going to happen. But he is there with us as our protection, and he has his angels watching over us. He will get us through whatever it is that's going on. And whatever happens, we're assured in Romans 8:28 that all things work together for good to those who love him. Job went through a time of losing everything, yet God restored it all and even more when he remained faithful through those trials. I remember, and I think I've talked about it before, my dad had a brain tumor, and what we went through for, I think it was 2 years from the time he was diagnosed until the time he passed away. What we went through during those 2 years of trials actually had so many beneficial things come out of it that I know that if God went to my dad today and said, "Hey, Vern, would you like to go back down and not have that brain tumor thing happen?" He would say, "No, absolutely not." Because the things that happened because of the way he handled it and the way people around him responded were amazing. Sorry, just got an itch. Ow. So if you're going through a dark time in your life, press into him as hard as you can. Claim his protection. He'll get you through it. And I guarantee there will be a day when you look back and you'll be able to honestly say, "Oh, I see why that happened." Now, I shouldn't say that always that'll happen. But when we get to heaven, if we were able to look back, we would know why certain things happened and that there was a purpose. So, even in the darkest of my times, and I couldn't see any hope, God got me through them, and I can look back now, and most of the time, I can see that I had a lesson to learn, I had some growth, it affected someone else, or I was allowed to go through some trying times to be more understanding, empathetic, to relate more to people that I was going to minister to in the future who were going through similar things. So I can only lift my hands to him in the dark and know that he's there and know that he's going to use those times to bring me to where he wants. And those times have molded me into the person that I am becoming. I am not where he wants me to be yet, but I am becoming more of that person every single time. So I wouldn't want to go through them again, but I would not go back and change any of the bad things that happened or the hard times, because I know that there's been so much benefit coming from them. So when your life feels like you're stepping off a tall cliff, just reach out and grab that lifeline of him. I guarantee you it's there. Have a good one.